back, everybody, to another episode of CasonPoint. I am your host, as always, Jason Cason. We are on episode 40 today. We got a special one. I know I say that every episode, but we really do. We are going to talk some baseball. We are in the World Series. Let's go. Some NFL recap, kind of what we talked about the last episode, how it carried into right now, and what's coming up in the Week 7 slate of games. And then we're going to talk about basketball, obviously with the Lakers being crowned the 2020 COVID champions. We have the NBA draft right around the corner, and we have some free agency players that can be key factors for some teams that were so close to the championship, even so close to entering the bubble. So we will definitely dive into that. Our special guest will be on to help us dive into that and break down some of the rumors and talk about where some players can go, maybe where some draftees will be landing in their new cities. So we'll dive right into this guy, and we're going to start with baseball. Obviously, we are in the World Series, which means that Jason's pick is down and out. Last episode we talked about the Braves, or at least I did, talked about the Braves winning this thing. I felt like their bats were hot and their young talent and their pitching staff was going to carry them through. Well, they had the Dodgers right where they wanted them with a 3-1 lead, ended up giving that up, and the Dodgers taking Game 7 to move on to the World Series, and they will be taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, who also did work against the Astros and let the Astros climb back into the series, going up 3-0, letting the Astros win 3 in a row to make it a Game 7, where the Rays won Game 7, eliminating the Astros. So it is the Rays versus the Dodgers in the World Series. We are already through Game 1 and Game 2. As you're listening to this on Friday, Game 3 is tonight. And the series is split 1-1. Honestly, both games looked fairly similar. I think both teams have a great starting staff. And it's who can get on who first. Because the Rays definitely have a crazy bullpen. I believe the stat was like they're 34, and after 2 nights ago, they're 35-0 when they have a lead after the 7th. So bullpen is outstanding. Their setup and their closers are, fantastic, almost untouchable. So, the bullpen side of things definitely swings towards the Rays. I think the pitching power still swings towards the Dodgers. They have that veteran talent, and they just throw really hard. So it's really hard for teams to get on the scoreboard early. But when you do, it's a recipe for success against the Dodgers. And then it comes down to, can the Rays pitching overtake the Dodgers bats? Because let's be totally honest, when it comes to talent on each team, the Dodgers have quadruple the talent. I mean, they have within 2 players, their salary is equivalent to the entire Rays organization. Just your, not even, let's just talk about 1 through 5. Their 1 through 5 batters you have Bellinger batting after cleanup. I mean, that's how heavy this lineup is, with Mookie and Bellinger and Will Smith making a name for himself. You have Justin Turner there, the veteran presence. You can even throw in a guy off the bench like Jock Peterson. Chris Taylor's coming into his own. I mean, this team is just, they're built to hit. Seager is dominating right now. Flashback a year ago, we were talking about how Kyle Seager was the better Seager brother, and right now Corey's proven that he is the guy, and coming into a potential free agency season could be big money coming Seager's way, and we'll see how that plays out. But so far, I think with Game 1, you saw the Dodgers and the Rays kind of battle it out at the beginning, get the nerves out. Once the Dodgers took a big lead, it was just too much for the Rays to get back into it. They don't have the bats like the Dodgers do. Dodgers remind me a lot of the Astros. They have that capability of scoring. So, whether they're down 2 or 3 runs, it's not a huge deal. And putting pressure on a young team like the Rays could benefit them, down the stretch here in the next few games. So obviously Game 3 tonight, we'll see how that goes. I believe the percentage is like 68%. Whoever wins Game 3 goes on to win the series 68% of the time. And that's with them going up 3-0, going up 2-1, being down 1-2. All of those things play into it. So we'll see. I like the Rays in Game 3. I think their pitching is just proving that they can hold the Dodgers to below, 5-6 runs. It's can they score more than 5-6 runs? That is the key. And they need to do it early. They need to put the pressure on the Dodgers early, make them swing for the fences. If the Dodgers are just playing base hit ball, more than likely they're going to score multiple runs over multiple innings. But if you have them swinging for the fences, you can really capitalize on some misses, maybe some pitch locations where you can get, broken bat situation, double play situation, pop fly. So I like the Rays in this game. We'll see how the pitching plays out. I think this game, Game 3, will dictate the series. Swapping over to the NFL, last episode we talked about, what teams were still undefeated, what teams still haven't gotten a win yet. The undefeated teams, we were at 6, and the defeated teams, we were at 4. Well, we've had a little flip-flop here. So the undefeated teams, we've actually gone from 6 to 3, with the Packers just getting blown out by the Buccaneers. The Chiefs losing to the Raiders, which was a huge upset. And not just the Chiefs losing to the Raiders because of mistakes. The Raiders outscoring the Chiefs, which is something that no team does ever. And then the Bills losing to the Titans, with the Titans remaining undefeated. So that leaves the Titans, the Steelers, and the Seahawks as our undefeated teams. And on the flip side, our defeated teams, we had the Giants, Falcons, Texans, and Jets. Giants, Falcons, and Texans have all gotten wins, leaving just the New York trash can Jets. I mean, it's hard to say this team's not going to get a win. We've only seen it a handful of times. The year the Browns did it, it was very evident that was going to happen. You have leaks from the Jets organization that they are tanking on purpose, which you don't hear because everyone's fighting for a job. Whether your team is great or not, as a fan, you want to tank, right? First pick, that's what you want. But when you're a player, bonus money's on the line. Potential contract coming up is on the line. As a coach, are you just going to give up, get fired, and then no one else wants you because of what you did this season? Or are you going to show some promise, show some scheme, show some, it's a lot easier to go into a hiring meeting and say, this is what I can bring to your team. This is why it didn't work with the Jets. But when you are clearly giving up, you can't make that argument. You can't present that to your future employer. So we'll see how that one really bites the Jets in the butt or not, if they truly are tanking. This might be a tier thing, top line, we're not, but players are like, yep, dude, we're out. But you look at the rest of their schedule, the AFC East is good. I mean, the second worst team is the Patriots, and the Patriots have been dealing with COVID, so they haven't had a full roster, nor have they had full practices. The Dolphins are playing great. They just announced Tua as their starter. And then the Bills are just, they just got their first loss to an undefeated team. So when it comes to the division, I don't see them getting a division win at all. And then outside of the division, there's really no games that are like, oh, yep, Jets can take this. So I think they had their opportunity when they played the Broncos on Thursday night, dropped the ball on that opportunity, and now they're in the situation that they're at. Now that we're into week 7, there's still COVID, still in the NFL. Not as drastic as before, obviously. The last time we talked, there was multiple games getting moved. Schedules were getting changed. Before that, we talked about games actually being canceled and moving back into the season, moving bye weeks up. The NFL is really trying to eliminate a week 18 scenario. So obviously what they did was they pushed everything out scheduling-wise to a potential 4 weeks. So hotels, stadium leases, all those things, Super Bowl has been booked out in a 4-week advancement. So Super Bowl should be around February 5th, 6th-ish, but they have given themselves a whole nother month. So this could be the first Super Bowl ever to be in March. Not ever. Maybe ever. That I don't know. Need to fact check that. But they did that just in case they do have to extend the season. So with week 18 being a potential, because now we're going to push the Super Bowl out 4 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever, we can add a couple weeks to the season and make up some of these games. The problem is then you're dealing with extra buys for other teams because now they get 3 weeks off before the playoffs. Do they have a bye? Do they not? There's a lot of things that can really play into that. and they're going to really try to avoid that. This week, they're dealt with a little bit of a different scenario. Nothing that has penetrated an entire organization, but the Las Vegas Raiders, that's my team. Why did I even do that? The Las Vegas Raiders actually had a positive test on their starting offensive line with Trent Brown. He tests positive, causing the starting O-line to completely be sent home. So your offensive line is all, contact tracing. They're all the closest. Being a tackle, that means he's the furthest away from everyone, except for like maybe a tight end, but it was just the line that was sent home due to contact tracing. And because of that, the NFL didn't want, if it were to spread throughout the team, they didn't want to have to cancel their game because this week their game was Sunday night against the Patriots. So, not the Patriots, the Buccaneers. Because it's Sunday night against the Buccaneers, they didn't want to lose that potential time slot. Losing an 11 o'clock game or a 2 o'clock game doesn't hurt because you still have other games that can be played, and TV coverage can still cover it. But when you're talking about Sunday night, that's a one-ticket slot in primetime. So what they did was they moved that game to the afternoon. So they actually moved it up into the afternoon slot, so it'll be on Fox instead of being on NBC Sunday night. And they took the Cardinals-Seahawks, which was the game of the week Sunday, move that to Sunday night on NBC. That way, if the Raiders or the Bucs have more COVID positives, they can then push the game out to Monday or Tuesday, and it doesn't affect their Sunday night schedule. So not a huge hit, but definitely still some movement. COVID's, it's definitely hitting us, which is not good. Not good. But more Week 7 preview. Obviously, we just talked about Bucs Raiders. Huge game as far as, can the Bucs keep what they built going from destroying the Packers? Can the Raiders get 2 back-to-back wins against 2 top-tier teams? Not to mention, Raiders are coming off of a bye week, also losing players on COVID. So can they keep their season alive by going 4-2? If not, they will be 3-3, 500, just outside the playoff bubble. Big game for them. Steelers-Titans, another undefeated matchup. We had one last week with Titans-Bills. This time, Steelers-Titans. Can the Steelers or the Titans stay undefeated? We shall see. I like the Steelers in this one. I think their defense is just unstoppable, and especially stopping the run. Their defensive front is amazing. Obviously, the Titans are going to feed Derrick Henry and try to keep that going, so we'll see how that one plays out, but I like the Steelers in that one. Panthers-Saints. Not a huge record-wise game, but when you talk about interdivision, Panthers-Saints both, half game behind each other for the number 2 spot in the division, and with the Bucs being number 1. But if the Bucs lose to the Raiders, this game now becomes first place. Who can be in first place right now? The Saints are allowing 3,000 fans into the Superdome, which is huge. They haven't had fans all year, and that's a big home field advantage for the Saints. Can they take over the Panthers, who have actually surprised a lot of people? Christian McCaffrey might be back. Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like they're going to give Mike Davis one more run, but this could be a big game. If they can get this game, get a dub, or even keep it close without McCaffrey, then the Panthers could make this playoff run for real. Then the game that takes over Sunday night, Seahawks-Cardinals. Before you would think, Seahawks-Cardinals, good game, interdivision, but the Cardinals are showing us right now that they are ready to play. Kingsbury has that team ready to score points, and the Seahawks are ready to score points. Both defenses kind of, mediocre, but offenses are really rolling. You have elusive Kyler Murray on one end, Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson on the other end. How does it play out? I like the Cardinals in this one. I think they're coming off of a big win, and they didn't play great. So I really like if they can put things together, get DeAndre Hopkins the ball a little more. Kenyon Drake is rushing like a madman right now. Get Larry Fitzgerald involved. I mean, I really like this Cardinals team. I think they give the Seahawks their first loss of the year. And then Monday night, Bears-Rams. Both teams are kind of like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they good? Are they bad? They have great showings and they have terrible showings. And they have great showings and they have terrible showings. With the Bears case, they have a lot of terrible showings, but they keep winning games. So are the Bears for real? Can the Rams keep things going? We'll see. I like, if the Rams can put up early points, I like the Rams. If the Bears can shut down the quick passing game, I like the Bears. I think that this, because it is in LA, I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams are a lot better than what the record shows, and I think the Bears are a lot worse than what the record shows. So, last thing to cover on the NFL before we dive into basketball and get our guest on here. Last episode, we talked about the coaching hot seats. So we talked about Adam Gase and Dan Quinn really being on fire. Well, Dan Quinn has been released as well as their GM. So Adam Gase still coaching somehow. Not sure. They have not won a game. They've actually been playing worse than the Falcons, and he still has his job. But Dan Quinn is out. What this shows us is that these teams that are kind of handcuffed to these coaches for 2 years, they're not afraid to cut ties. Last episode we talked about here's the guys that are kind of on the hot seat, but they do still have 2 years on their contract. Are the teams going to be willing to pay these guys out? Whether it's a buyout or pay them over the next 2 years, how's that going to work? And the Falcons said, nope, worth it to us. We can't have this guy in the locker room anymore. He's lost the team. This team is much better than what the record shows. We need to play better and get some wins. And they did. They fired Dan Quinn, came out and got the dub. Texans did the same thing after they got rid of Bill O'Brien, which we talked about last episode. So I would say I don't think any coach on this list has really made a jump off this list. I still think Zimmer and Fangio are on that list there. Zimmer a little less because he has a 3-year deal instead of a 2-year. And then, Doug Marrone, Doug Peterson, Matt Patricia, those guys are still kind of lingering on the potential hot seat. And how Adam Gase still has his job, I have no idea. It's incredible that he's been able to keep it this long. Very, very surprised. But we'll see how this one plays out. We'll see if the Jets can maybe turn it around, change our mind about the 0-16 season, see if Gase can prove to us that he actually can run an offense. Doubt it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, from last episode, any of the coaches that I've seen make an improvement would be Matt Patricia for the Lions. I think the Lions actually have a legit shot to take over that division. Right now, they're a little behind, but when you look at the Bears not playing the greatest football, their defense is good, but their offense is mediocre. The Packers showing that they can be beaten. You got to be licking your chops if you're a Lions fan, especially over the next 7 games. The Bears is the toughest team that you play over those next 7 games. You go 6-1, 7-0, 5-2 even. It's a whole different ball game when you start talking about how you place in that division. So Patricia he's in a good spot as far as all these coaches that are on the hot seat. Not necessarily the greatest spot, but you're in the best spot of these coaches that are in bad positions. Doug Peterson, he's got injuries kind of on his side. If he can rattle off some wins, that'd be good. But I mean, every team in that division has a losing record. Someone has to win that division. So, being that they got that tie early, I think that's actually going to help them when it comes to the playoff seeding, because if they can keep that, that's a half a game that they can keep over everybody. So I think Doug Peterson might not get fired this year. But, definitely Gase is if anyone gets fired next, it will be Gase. The only person that I could see jumping is possibly Doug Marrone, but I feel like with only 1 year left on his contract, they'll let him finish it out. That way they don't have to worry about a buyout or anything like that. Don't have to worry about paying an interim coach bonuses, things like that. So that would be the only guy that I see jumping him, unless Doug Peterson completely tanks. Like the Eagles just don't win another game. Giants take over. They fall to last place. Maybe that happens, but I still think Adam Gase is that next guy out. So that's all we have for football talk. Now the exciting part. We're going to get our guest on here to talk about basketball, the ins, the outs, what we're seeing, what we're excited for the next upcoming season. So without further ado, our guy, our friend, we love him, Mr. Jonathan Davis. All right, guys, we're joined here with our fabulous reoccurring guest, Mr. Jonathan Davis, the GOAT. All right, bro, so it pains me to say this, but congrats on the Lakers taking the dub. We won't talk about how you were selling them out last time you were on, how you were maybe joining the Clipper bandwagon. We won't talk about that. That's not important right now. We're going to talk about the Lakers getting the dub. So before we dive into, we're going to dive into the draft order, some prospects, some trades, some rumors, the whole basketball slate. Before we dive into that, just give me and the audience a perspective of what this championship means for not just you being in the area and being a Laker fan, but being someone that was close to Kobe, a new Kobe, like what does that mean to someone like you?
I mean, for me, man, to be honest, like it's everything. It's bigger than sports. Uh, it's almost like a ending of like a trilogy, like Lord of the Rings or something like, and the ending goes the way that you want it to go. Because could have gone a different route. Like I said earlier, the Clippers may have beat the Lakers. I'm not gonna say that, but it might have happened. So everything the way it happened fell into perfect form. You got my man Braun out there doing his thing. You got AD coming into his years of being a boss, and you got a group of guys on the Lakers that had love for Kobe more than anybody else. And it just kind of felt like LA was kind of living through that team. And especially with them being isolated in Orlando, the challenge of that, COVID, this whole year, it's incredible, man. I think that not a lot of people have in LA. I don't think a lot of people have really realized like how big this one is. Give it a couple years, they'll look back and be like, it's incredible. But for me, basketball fan, Kobe, my idol. Um, that's the storybook ending, man, for what they were trying to get done and how they got it done. I think he would be extremely proud if he was here. And just for me, man, I mean that's everything. It's probably the best. It's probably the most meaningful championship. Even Kobe and Shaq and all that growing up. But for me, just realizing the I guess you could say the gravity of the situation and everything. I think that one resonates with me more than anything. Just kind of getting it done for him, and finally being like, "We did it, man! Let's go!" So now it's huge for me, man. Huge,
For sure.
huge.
For
Yeah,
sure. I agree. I was painful to see them win it, but also knowing kind of what it means.
yeah,
Obviously taking the fandom out of it and just looking at the sport that you love. Um, you know, it- you could have looked at before they opened the bubble. You could have looked at it, and if I was the NBA, I'm circling Lakers win championship. That's the number one
right,
storyline. That's the You couldn't pick a better storyline and a better championship to crown that storyline than Kobe and LA rallying around, the family and what they
yep,
did, what he meant to the basketball community and how basketball was able to give back to the Lakers that gave to Kobe like that. It's just, you
huge,
said it best. Perfect ending to the story that they were writing. Um,
right.
it's exactly what they wanted. We won't talk about how it was rigged. We won't talk about it. We won't do it. That's not
Hey, listen, we didn't make the playoffs last year, man. We were terrible. All right. We had some ups and downs, and the boy Braun said, "Listen, I got y'all next year." And you got to respect. He held true to that. Things happen in our favor. I'm not gonna lie about that. But at the end of the day, you got to crown the champ, baby. You got to always say, I want some respect too.
yeah.
My man.
Well, not
So
just that, but like you had a Heat team that no one
yeah,
saw.
yeah,
No one said that they were going to be there. And after they started playing, you're like, okay, they have to be there. They're playing the best basketball, team basketball, not just, give the ball to Jimmy Butler. It's let Jimmy Butler run this team. And you got
yep,
Duncan Robinson, a walk on, burying 30 points in a playoff game. Like,
bro.
it,
You got
it
him.
was
You got
perfect.
Tyler stepping up, playing unbelievable as a rookie. Come on, man. In the finals,
Yep.
Bam, Olenek, like those guys were hooping, man. And Lakers won, but not to take away anything from the Heat. I'm a big team guy. I think the Lakers kind of got away with having two of the greatest players, to play the game on the same team. Kind of give it to them offense and figure it out. But I have to respect the Heat's ability to share the ball. And I'm a big fan of team basketball, to be real with you. So
For sure.
seeing how hard these guys were playing, man, and a guy like Crowder, like, he kind of disappeared after a couple years ago with Boston and just coming in, knocking down threes. Then he's playing defense on Bron. And then you got Jimmy, orchestrating. You got Tyler shooting, knocking down crazy shots, Duncan. And if Dragic isn't hurt, you never know, man. I think in that last game it was tough though for Spoelstra because obviously you want to have him play, but ironically I think that kind of hurt them a little bit because it takes away minutes from Hero and Robinson, which was interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. He's got to play, man. That's like the heart and soul of that team. He's been there for a while. Just to
And
get a chance to play in the finals, you know.
free
So
agent. He's a free agent now. So does he come back? How does that play out? That's going to be a tough one. But like
man,
using that, like diving into the draft order, like
mm-hmm.
when you look at two teams fighting for a championship, you think one of two things. One, they don't have a way to gain young talent because they just,
Right,
wasted their assets to not wasted, but utilize their assets to get players to win now. That's your first
right,
thought. Your second thought
right,
is they're one of the best teams. That's why they're in the finals. So they're going to have a late round pick. Not the
right,
case for the Heat. The Heat did not finish at the top tier. They're actually the 20th pick in this year's draft. They're middle of the pack, just below middle
right.
of the pack. You look at this draft, and it is so deep in, not just top tier talent. Like, obviously, every draft you're going to have like 1 to 5 superstars that could potentially help a city, gain its identity. But
Right.
as far as like contributing talent, like this has to be one of
Mm-hmm.
the deepest drafts that we've seen in a long time. And you're
Right.
getting overseas talent from, Euro basketball and just different styles of a game that's going to help mold a certain team. Like if you're the Miami Heat, you
Yep.
got sitting there going, all right, let's go. We stole Butler from the Sixers
Right.
because they, for some reason, decided, hey, this guy's not going to work. You basically got him for nothing. Now you have the
Right.
20th pick. Sure, you have to figure out what you're going to do with Dragic. You have some other guys that, bottom of the tier contributors that you're going to have to figure out contract wise, but you have the 20th pick in this draft. Like, you can really build off of this thing and make a team that can, really contend in the East.
Yep. Yep. No, 100%. I think they're eyeing. Pat Riley is a monster too. A lot of people don't give him credit, but I think he's an absolute monster. He knows what he's doing. Spoelstra, like they were saying, Spoelstra should probably retire as the coach of the Heat. Whenever he's ready, because he's proved on and on like he's the guy, and he understands what they need. And I think with Jimmy coming in and doing what he did, I think you only get a lot better than you are now. And I think, like you said, this draft is more for me like complementary pieces that add to championship level teams.
Mhm.
And of course, you got Wiseman and Edwards and Melo, but other than that, I mean, there's some talent. Don't get me wrong, but I think you just have guys that are going to be great for teams. And for the Heat, man, it's kind of endless opportunities depending on what that boy Giannis is going to do over there. And I know the Sixers are over there, but I'm not a big, I don't believe the Sixers, man. I don't know. I think they got Doc over there now, but we'll see. We'll see. They got what is it? What is their draft pick? It's pretty
The
low.
Sixers have the 21st because they did a
Okay.
swap. So they have the Thunder's pick, but they lost their pick. Their pick was, where are they at on this list? Blah, blah. Their pick was 19. So they actually moved back 10 spots because they sent their 19th to the Nets. But they
Gotcha.
picked up
Okay.
the Thunder. So they're at 21. But the Celtics have 3
Yeah.
picks. They have they have the 30th pick that they got from the Bucks. They have their pick, which was the 26th pick, and then they have the 14th pick, which they got from the Grizzlies.
Mm.
So you
Danny
got
Ainge,
some.
Danny Ainge. Yeah. No, they're. I mean, the Celtics are always going to be a great organization, great team. Brad Stevens running the ship over there. So, man, the East is interesting, man. We'll see. I think this after this draft, it'll give you better understanding on how they're gonna move. But I'm curious to see if Embiid stays. I'm curious to see if Giannis, what's going to go on with that, and then kind of pick and choose from there. But I'm telling you right now, the Heat, how they played, man. I don't know if anybody's. I don't know. They play a kind of a hybrid game too, which is tough for a lot of teams to match up with. That small ball, having the five make a lot of decisions as well. Bam is a credible player. We'll see. We'll see what they do. But I'm excited to see how they move. What's their next move in this whole thing?
And to look at it even deeper on the Heat side of things, like this team is a brand new identity, bringing in Butler, bringing in Some of like getting rid of Whiteside and doing all these trades to really rebrand this team, doing it
Yep.
on a season that was cut in half. So
Yep.
you weren't able to develop your identity. Then right when
Yep.
you start developing your identity, oh, COVID. All right, well now we're going to take a break. Okay, wait guys, now we're coming back and we're going to literally lock ourselves into hotel rooms. By the way, you guys have only spent a couple months together, so you really don't know each other. We're just going to throw
Right.
you in a hotel and hope that things go well. Like
Right.
to think about like all of that, like the mental about it and just, I mean, you had multiple players coming out this year that were in the bubble that's like, look, dude, I dealt with a lot of crap. Like
Yep.
it's not just as easy as getting room service and playing basketball. Like you're away from your
Sure.
families, you're away from your daily, like you can't brand yourself. Like a lot of these guys that off the court do things for, their foundations and all those things. Like they can't do that. They can't personally do it. They're not allowed to, they're handcuffed.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about Lou Williams going to a strip club to get wings. I mean, that doesn't matter, but guys that are actually philanthropists and go out there and
Right. Right.
want to be part of the public, like they can't do that. That's not, their way to get off the court mentally to escape. They can't do it. So you got these
Right.
guys bringing their gaming systems, and that's just the only way that they could, get away from basketball. To
Exactly.
do that and to go as far as they did, like the Bucks right now, they have to look at their roster and go, we need to make a major change, whether that's getting rid of Giannis and building around the other players on the team, or
Yep.
keeping Giannis and getting rid of those players and building a different team around Giannis, because the Heat are coming up. The Sixers under Doc might be making big changes. You have the Celtics with 3 draft picks. They're going to be coming up. The Raptors are no slouch. They showed us that this year, that who cares? We
Yep.
don't have Kawhi. We're still going to make moves. Like
Yeah.
the East is, and by the way, hey, team we're not talking about, how about the Brooklyn Nets getting both Kyrie and Kevin Durant back? Like East is going to be a completely different ball game,
Man.
and the Bucks have to be sitting there going, we had 3 years in a row where we were the top dogs and we couldn't get the dub. We might not be the top dogs anymore. Like that's got to be scary. Like that.
Yeah.
If I'm the Bucks, I'm shaking right now.
That's true though. That's facts, man. They got to figure it out, and I don't know if you trade Giannis, and I don't know. I don't know how that looks, because where are you trading him to? What are you getting in return? Even the AD New Orleans trade, that's a crazy trade, bro. And for what they got in return and everything, like I still don't know about that. But do you end up like that? And do you chance that? And then do you change the coach? Is it there's so many things that can transpire. So I mean, hopefully Giannis decides he wants to stay there. But if I'm him, I don't know if I really want to. They haven't done anything for me, and I mean, it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know too many guys that just were like, yeah, like let me go play in Milwaukee. Like that's the spot I want to be in. No disrespect to Milwaukee, but it's just,
I mean, even
that's
the
not
Packers.
necessarily
The Packers are in the same boat
right.
when you go to the NFL side of things. Like aside from Charles
Right.
Woodson, aside from if you
Mm-hmm.
want to count Jimmy Graham a top free agent, when have the Packers ever signed a big money free agent?
Facts.
And they're a winning franchise.
Never.
Why? No one wants to go play at Lambeau. No one wants to go up basically to Canada and play football. If they
Right.
did, they'd go to the Canadian Football League. Like that's not
Facts.
talked about enough. And like what I think, like when I'm looking at this draft order, I think like in my head, I think NBA in the NBA draft capital is more important than any other sports
Yep.
organization at all. Like NFL, yeah, first round pick is a big deal, but you see top tier wide receivers going for like 5th round picks. Like the draft capital is not as important as the NBA. Where the NBA, you have 3 picks in the draft, you can literally rebrand a team based off of how you draft this year. If you get 3
or
draft,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
But you look on the flip side as far as trade bait, like you look at Minnesota, if they don't like Toppin, if they don't like Wiseman, if they don't like Edwards, can they use that first pick to go snag someone off of a team that might be looking to rebuild?
Right.
Golden State Warriors, a team that you and I have talked about before, and I've told you, please don't put it in the basketball gods realm of saying that Giannis is going there, but you can use that number 2 pick. Like,
Yep.
when you think of top picks in a draft, you're thinking going to a team that's not great.
Right.
You don't think of, hey, the Warriors literally were injured. Their top 3 players were injured. So they're playing with their
Right.
backups, finish almost dead last. But hey, they have reigning MVP Stephen Curry. They have 3-point champion Klay Thompson, defensive player Draymond
Draymond.
Green. And
Yep.
oh, hey, by the way, we have that number 2 pick. We can either draft someone like a Wiseman and Edwards, a mellow ball, or
Yep.
we can trade it and get someone and bring someone to make our team kind of full again.
Yep.
I think, knowing the Warriors, I know that, right now they have a team that they don't necessarily have to start plugging in young talent just yet.
Yep.
Obviously, getting a guy like Edwards would really help. Like, if Klay does go down, you have a guy that can potentially take over that workload. But I mean, that the teams that stick out to me with those picks, like number 2 Warriors, that sticks out big. Like, that says trade all over it.
And not to mention Wiggins too. Wiggins is on that team.
Yep.
Trade bait. Well, who knows, bro? So
Exactly. The other team that sticks out, the Pistons, number 7 Pistons. Like, if they can keep Blake and Draymond or Drummond healthy, like, that could be hey, let's ship him to wherever to get this piece. Let's ship him to Charlotte to get Kemba. Let's ship him to the Wizards to get Wall or to get Beal or something.
Right.
Add that shooter aspect to that team. That sticks out to me. The Nets pick at 19 sticks out to me. Like, yes, it's not a top tier draft, but you have a formula of Kyrie and KD. Instead of putting some young talent, can you ship off these picks and start getting some other people? That one sticks out. But like, the Timberwolves one wants to stick out to me because they do have the 1st pick and the 17th pick. So it's like, do they package both of those to go get someone to play with Cat?
Right.
Like, I don't think the Timberwolves organization is looking at their roster going, yep, we need this guy and we're good. They're looking at their roster like, yeah, we need a 2, we need a 3, we need a 4, we need a backup 5. We need, we're gonna draft. We're gonna draft these guys.
We're gonna take this guy. Yeah. No, that's 100% true, bro. So
I mean, like, when you look at these prospects, Toppin, which, by the way, like, obviously no March Madness with COVID, so basketball wasn't as popular in the college realm, but like, Toppin out of Dayton, like, no one's talking about this kid. This kid's a freaking stud, man. Like, you like start watching anything about the draft, you hear 3 names: Edwards, Wiseman, Ball. That's it.
Right.
You don't hear Toppin. And Toppin's like, he potentially could go number 1 to the Timberwolves. Like, he's that good.
Incredible, man. He's incredible. I had a chance to watch him a year ago. He came up to Nike, to Mamba for Nike Skills, and people didn't know who he was back then. And eye opening every eye up, man. I'm talking between the legs in traffic, bro, for no reason. Crazy athletic. Actually a very, very intellectual guy too on the court. And then I saw him walking around asking everybody he could, like, if I'm over here, what should I do over here? Like, just curious, man. And I don't think you can teach that. And you see that he just has that passion and love for the game.
That's what it is right there. It's the love. It's when you can find a guy that loves what they're doing, a guy that, like, when I think about that, I think of like other sports too. Like, when you think of like a Troy Polamalu, literally wherever the football is, he is. And he's not there because he literally is magnetized to the ball. He's there because he loves the game so much. He's the first one in, last one out, the typical cliche. But he's the guy that's literally dedicated his next 10 years to football. And that's it. And, guys that can, like, I look at myself, like, selfishly, like, if I was that good, I'd be the guy that's like, okay, I'm that good. I'm going to stay healthy. I'm going to collect my check, and we're good.
Right.
I'm not going to be the guy that's like, hey, coach, when we run this, he didn't, the defender didn't do this, but if he did do this, should I do this or should I do this? Like, no one, like, for me, I wouldn't do that. There's not a lot of players that do that. So to hear that about someone, like, you got to be, that's obviously why they have these meetings with these teams before they do the draft. Like, those are the questions they ask. Like if they see that out of a player, that immediately has to be something that's like, hey, if this guy's there, we want him. Like we're taking him.
100%. 100%, man. I mean, there's so many guys that just don't do that. So that's a huge, huge buying point, I think, or selling point for those kids that think like that are wired like that. Because you can't really teach that. You can tell somebody, hey, go over there and ask them, but like, if they're not getting anything from it or they're not actually wanting to do that, you can feel that too. So to see him do that, man, I think, and the way the game is going as well, like he's pretty tall, but he's super agile, and he can be in one of those situations where he's guarding a 4 or 5. He might even switch to a 3. The game is just out of control right now, man. And as far as like interchangeability, it's really wild, bro. It's really wild. So I actually saw this. I don't know if you saw that clip, but it was like Gobert working out with that kid. It's like 7'2",
Yeah.
7'3".
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like what? That's possibly like the norm 100 years, 150 years from now. That's pretty far, but like these guys are out handling the ball at 7'2", 7'3", bro.
It's
Like,
like Bol
it's
Bol.
shooting. Exactly.
When the
Even Michael
Nuggets,
Porter,
dude,
like,
when the
Porter's
Nuggets ran that
what?
lineup, it was like the shortest
Yeah,
dude in the lineup was like 6'10". It's like, no,
bro.
literally my worst nightmare. Like that, like as a
Bro.
guy that's 5'7", that is my worst nightmare.
Oh,
Like
you're not
I
matching up
see
with Bol Bol,
myself
bro?
walking onto like a rec court and like I'm looking up and it's like the Monstars versus the Looney Tunes. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm out,
You're
dude.
like, what is
Like
going
Bol
on?
Bol's running the 3 and he's like 7'6". It's like, no, I'm good, bro. Like dude, you were
You got
getting
you got Jokic
out.
for
You
the one,
shouldn't be
baby.
able to bury the 3 like that, dude. Like stop shooting the 3. Oh,
It's
crazy.
unreal, man. It's really unreal where it's headed. And when we were playing, like it was always like he's tall, like he wants to shoot threes. It's soft, and like I like that they're able to, like a KD, man. Like you can't make that up, bro. Like that's unbelievable talent. And Porzingis, you just see it with everybody now. Jokic is shooting threes, Gasol, like all these guys. So I don't know, man. We'll see where it goes. I don't know if like the center position will ever truly like die out, but it just kind of moved to something like a hybrid to where like it's almost normal for these guys to be able to shoot now,
Yeah.
and it's just part of the game.
Well, you just said
So
it. Like think like Porzingis is a perfect example.
yeah,
Like 6 years ago, they're calling him the unicorn because he's
right.
different. I could point every single team has a dude that tall that shoots threes now. Every single team. There isn't a single team that doesn't have that. Like that was
Yep.
only 6, 7 years ago.
Yep.
Like it's insane like how the game has changed. Like
Yep.
absolutely nuts, bro. Like I can't crazy. Absolutely crazy. So my question to you, I'm gonna put you in 2 scenarios, okay? You're the Timberwolves right now.
Yeah.
Who are you taking first? You have Top in there, you have Edwards, Wiseman, Ball. Who are you taking?
Um, I'm gonna get Wiseman, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I think the kid is a monster. I think coaching wise, that's the tough part. Does he fit that style of play? But is it one of the situations where they figure it out to where they get him and then create a style of play because of him? And I think if you got Cat and him, kind of almost get a Duncan and Robinson type vibe a little bit.
Yep.
And even Cat talking about bigs that could shoot it. Like Cat can shoot it. I haven't really seen Wiseman shoot it like that, but he won't even have to necessarily. You got D'Lo running the one. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of D'Lo, but I think he went to Golden State for that year or whatever. I mean, he was behind Curry or was around him a lot, and maybe that changed his aspect of he doesn't have to score every single bucket, and maybe even kind of rolls into a Conley type vibe where he runs the offense and gets guys in the right position. But if you're the Timberwolves, you kind of look a little strange. Like you're not going to go get Melo because you got D'Lo. And if Edwards at the 3, it's tough. But I feel like he might even play a little bit of 2 and 1, and I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like if you don't get Wiseman, you kind of look silly, just from like a standpoint of like this guy's probably like the best pick you could take. I mean, you could probably say Edwards could be this, and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you'd have to go with him just to say like we put our best foot forward. He might be that guy that can change our franchise. But it is the West, and it's gonna take more than him to get everybody going. But they do have some pieces, man. So I think it takes the pressure off of Cat a little bit too, because I don't necessarily think he's that like KG like superstar. Like he's a phenomenal player, but just mindset wise, he needs some pieces to be around him for sure. So you add another big. He doesn't have to rebound as much. He can shoot the three, play the four.
Oh yeah,
I think
tell your dad that. Tell your dad that. Hey, dad,
yeah.
we got another center. We don't have to rebound as much. Yeah, I remember those practices. Nice try
That's
there,
the
bud.
that's the Hey, big man camp with my man Rick Rick Holiday, baby. Yes, sir. Big man camp. Nah, yeah. I mean, it's just a changing game, man. So I think they go Wiseman. It would have to be the pick, but who knows, man? You never know. They might be like, yo, LeVar gave us $1 million and he said he wanted Melo to go to Minnesota. So ball in the family is Minnesota now, and we're going up. So nah, we'll
Maybe.
see, bro. We'll see.
All right, so Wiseman goes 1 to the Timberwolves. Wiseman is off the board. What do you do if you're
Yep.
the Warriors?
Warriors go get Warriors. They go get Melo, man. I think
Ooh.
it's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy. I think Melo. The thing about Melo is that okay, so you already had what's it, Lonzo go to big time team, big time Hollywood, like the biggest place you can go for basketball,
Yeah.
and struggle tremendously. Um, and Melo, they're saying his personality is a little bit more like he wants to spotlight all that, but the kid knows how to play in a system, I think, and LeVar has instilled this way of shoot 60 times, shoot from half court, all that. But when you saw him play in Australia, I mean, the kid didn't really force up that many J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters type, where he's going to get a bucket no matter what. He's looking for these guys, right? So if you have that team, that's why I don't think D'Lo fit that meta, because it just wasn't his style of play. But you got Steph, you got Clay. I think you could do a three-headed dragon type thing, bro. And you're gonna be small. It's gonna be small ball, but the NBA is going small, bro. So I don't think you trade him. I think he fits in perfectly with that team, low key. He could shoot the three. Like he's a good shooter, catch and shoot. He knows how to throw lobs. They're gonna go get Dwight or somebody. They're gonna go get a big and do screen and roll and all that stuff and pick and pop. So he's just a team guy to me. And I think the media and everybody's trying to make him into a guy that is just worried about his and all that stuff. But I think he's just a little bit more intellectual than Lonzo, and I think he's a better shooter than Lonzo. And I think he might even. You got to see how he plays defense, but I don't think he's that athletic. But I think he knows how to play the game and his spots, which work and what doesn't work. It's like a Sean Livingston type role. And I think he'll be more talented, of course, but I think that's like a Dinwiddie type role. And that's crazy for the number 2 pick to sound like that. But if you go to the Warriors, that's how you're gonna have to play. And I think that GM, he's a monster, bro. He knows what he's doing. So they'll keep LeVar in control. He's quieted down. But
Yeah, most
yeah,
definitely.
that'd be a wild move. Yeah, I think it would work good for them, man. Steve Kerr's super cool coach. He just tell Melo, calm down, play your game. Like you're in a good spot, and I mean, it would bring a lot of pub to the Warriors too. And I don't think Melo's a kid where he's gonna do stuff off the court that's gonna be bad and all that stuff. So it's kind of a weird pick, bro, but that's what I would do. That's what I would do.
So you just said, they're going to add a big. I mean, you talk about free agents. You have Drummond, who has a player option. He sees something
Yep.
cooking over in Golden State. He could be like, yep, bye, Detroit.
Yep.
I'm going there.
Yep.
You have Derek
Right.
Favors. Derek Favors, free agent.
Yep.
Marcus All, free agent. Paul Millsap, free agent. Tristan Thompson, free agent. Montrezl Harrell, free agent. Like, you got bigs, man. Like you
Wow.
got bigs,
And then,
and all of those bigs are complementary to Draymond style too. It's not like,
yep,
these bigs are going to take Draymond out of his game. They're
yep,
guys that are going to go get boards and put backs, where Draymond's going to be boxing out and D'ing up.
yep. That's their style of play. They just need a big. I mean, they won with Bogut, bro, and McGee before McGee understood like how tall he was, or there's the list goes on. Spates, like, come on, man, like, no disrespect, those guys are great players. Older veteran David West, like, these guys that they just fit the style of just rebound the ball and screen
Literally
and
just
roll.
look backwards. You have four guys that can shoot. Just
Exactly.
grab the ball, look. Once you see a white jersey that's kind of open, or even in
Sure.
Steph's case, he doesn't have to be open. Just give it to him, and
Right.
you either have another rebound or
Right.
buckets. Those are your two
Exactly.
options.
So then, not to mention, they keep talking about Embiid coming over or Giannis or anything, and then you do have Wiggins just hanging out awkwardly. So you get somebody that fits the style more than he does at the moment, and you're right back on your feet, and you're looking at this like you have some absolute monsters ready to go, and they just recharge, bro. So I think they're the sleeper pick of this upcoming year. A lot of people are focused on other teams. I just think people forgot about them, almost how like when the Spurs did the deal with Duncan and Robinson, and they're gonna pop back up. And I mean Steph Curry, bro. I mean he hurt his hand, and it would like bro, he had this whole time to rest. Same thing with Clay. Like it's a torn ACL. Guys come back from that. It's not the end of the world. Um, they're gonna be monsters, man. And I hope my Lakers get. We need a little bit more young talent over there, but Warriors look kind of tough, bro. So
Speaking of your Lakers, rumors are out that DeMar DeRozan is not liking San Antonio. LA kid, potential
yep,
comeback there. But so like
yep.
to the Warriors scenarios, would you rather trade that second pick and get a Giannis or Embiid, or draft and potentially get like a Drummond? Like if you drafted Melo and signed Drummond, would you rather have that than trading that second pick for Giannis or Embiid?
For them, man. I mean, they did get KD, but I just think about like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where they were just team oriented, bro. And I think that's them. I mean, if it's on the table where you have to pick between Giannis and that number two pick, you got to go Giannis. My personal thought, and that's probably what I would do. But I almost want that to not even like be a thing. I want them to just be like, listen, we got to figure this out with the number two pick. We got to play with them. And I just think like it just fits. It's kind of rolling into the perfect picture for them. If they get him. But yeah, Giannis would probably be my guy. No, no lie. I mean, he's unbelievable, bro. And he's not necessarily the the Warriors guy, but just like KD, bro, he wasn't necessarily that fit for them, and he played like a monster. So
Did
they'll
you
figure it out.
did you see that interview with Onyeka Okongwu, the power forward out of USC? They
Not, oh, that with the Chino?
Yeah, they asked him.
Yeah.
They asked him what, who, what if you when you go to the NBA, who do you want to dunk on and who do you want to guard? He's like, I want to dunk on LeBron because he's the goat, and I want to guard Giannis. It's like, bro,
I don't know if I would have said that.
said
Though.
no one ever. Literally, defensive player of the years aren't saying they want to guard Giannis.
I would have said Brian Scalabrine out of retirement, bro. That's all I
Hey,
need to guard.
hey,
Hey,
Scalabrine's
hey,
the goat, bro.
I said, Scalabrine he had the tray ball, but I'd rather guard him than Giannis.
Oh, for sure.
Golly.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, dude, I'd be picking like Eric Gordon or something. Just
That boy Jared Dudley,
he's got
baby.
one move: pump fake, drive right, or shoot the three. I will guard that guy.
Yep. Every time.
And he doesn't rebound. Perfect.
Every
I
time.
got him. That's my dude. Like that's the thing. Like Giannis, you have to worry about
Yep.
guarding him. Then worry about does he make it? Does he miss it? If he misses it, oh crap, you got to box him out. And second of all, after you box him out, you have to be able to jump almost as high as him because he's gonna jump over you and just palm the ball and take it from you.
Yep. Say you miss too, and you get a fast break, and you're on the fast break. Then you got him a freight train coming behind you,
The
about to
Michael
just palm it
Jordan
off.
stretch arm just blocking you. Like, no
I
thanks.
mean,
All
dude,
good.
absolutely insane. So, nah,
But
this could be crazy, crazy free agency, I think, bro.
oh yeah, I mean
So
you have guys. Brandon Ingram, free agent.
yeah, yeah,
Van Vliet, free agent.
yeah,
Gordon Hayward has a player option. Goran Dragic, we talked about, is a free agent.
yep,
Gallinari is a free agent.
yeah, yeah,
Jeff Teague, Evan Fournier has a player option. Bertans from the Wizards, free
yeah.
agent.
Right.
Like these
That's
are
right.
all pieces that not just like plug onto the bench, but into the starting lineup pieces.
Right.
Like you put
Big.
Brandon Ingram on the Rockets, tell me they're not, a contender. You put Brandon Ingram on, you know, dive into the quote unquote rumors. You get
Right.
Paul George out of the Clippers and put Brandon Ingram next to Kawhi. You're gonna tell me that's not an upgrade? Like
That's a
these are
monster, bro.
big time
100%.
pieces, like big time pieces. Um,
Yep.
the one question that I had, so obviously diving into the whole Clipper debacle, everything
Jesus.
that's going on there, like wow, um, like when you're sitting there, if you're the Clippers, do you really think that what you got from Paul George this year was the Paul George that you're going to get for the next few years, or are you sitting there going, all right, we took a gamble just to get Kawhi here, but now that we have Kawhi here, let's get something else because this isn't going to work.
Yeah. I mean, this was their time to win. I think 100%. So, not to judge anybody off of like a past season or anything, but that's what this is. This is the NBA. This is the professional. This is how things go. So that was awful, bro. And like, no disrespect to him because I think he's a great player, but like, you can't go out like that. You can't perform like that, man. And I know it's a bad game or whatever, but you can't lose to the Nuggets, man. Like, you can't. So
Not just that, you
I
can't have
think,
your nickname go from playoff P to pandemic P. Like that dude, that cannot happen. That's
the
like
Gatorade can have the Gatorade commercial, like, yo, I got this last game winner and shoot off the side of the joint, bro. Like, that just not a good look. So, especially in Hollywood, especially you got all these posters around our city, and like, come on, man. So, I think, I think you could go get somebody good for him, or especially with Doc not being there. I think if Doc was still there, PG would probably end up. He'd probably want him to stay. But now that you're kind of refacing the whole thing, even though Ty Lue was already there and all that, but it's still a different team. I think you almost have to have the Clippers. You have to almost have Kawhi realize he's the guy. Like, you're the guy. You have to lead us. You have to take these shots. You have to shoot more than anybody else on the team. And not to say Paul George isn't the supporting cast, but it just, I mean, that playoff, like those last couple of games, it just didn't it looked like no one knew what to do. And as a playoff team, as a championship level team, you can't have that. You cannot have that. So it's like, I say you go get somebody else, man. I think Paul George kind of has a rough time because I think he was one of the most talented players in the league coming up, but I think he just had a couple injuries and then did some stuff that you know, didn't really make any sense leaving OKC how he did and coming to the Clippers. And I mean, that made sense at the time, but like now it's just like, dude, what? Like, and even the whole Pacers debacle. I'm sure you're familiar with all that stuff that happened over there, and like, it's just kind of getting away from basketball with him. Because I mean, that finals or that Eastern Conference Finals when they played Braun and the Heat and everything,
the
I was like,
the
yo, Paul George is that guy,
the
bro.
Lance
Like,
Stevenson blow in the LeBron ear game. Oh yeah.
classic, bro.
Oh yeah.
Classic. Shout out to Roy Hibbert too, man. I don't know what happened to Roy Hibbert, bro. He was legendary, and then my man,
He's the
my
real
man
magic
turned.
man, bro. Just now you see me, now you don't.
Yeah,
Bye.
he reminded me. This is disrespectful. This is super disrespectful, but like he had the Kwame Brown like low key vibe, like just disappeared, bro. Because nah, bro, I've heard some stories, and
Oh,
I a Kobe
Atlanta.
story. Kobe had told I forgot, I don't know if he had told us this again, but I heard this before I even met Kobe, but it was like when the Smush Parker Kawami days, bro. And Kawami would like go to Kobe and be like, "Hey man, like don't throw it to me on the block. Like please don't throw it to me, like, cause then they're gonna foul me and then I have to go shoot free throws." So like just hold on to it. You shoot it, and I'll try and get the rebound. And Kobe's reaction, bro. He said he like went to Phil like the third time he told him that and was like, "I'm gonna need you to get this done within the next couple of weeks. You got to get this guy out of here. It's no way I can do with this dude." And he was just like, "Come on, man! Like this is the craziest thing I'm hearing." But yeah, I don't Roy Hibbert, bro. I don't know, man. Like, wow, that dude was balling, and then last time I remember seeing Roy Hibbert was Kobe's. I think it was like when was he on the Lakers? Was that Kobe's farewell tour, or was it
Yeah,
the year before? It was like one of those.
I believe it was
Yeah,
the
I
farewell
remember seeing him on.
tour. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
that's
last time I seen my boy Roy. But jeez, but yeah, Paul George, he's got to get like I said, like either the Nets, either the Knicks, like he's got to go be the man on some team that probably won't win anything, but it's like I don't see him being on that championship um, Clippers team. And the Clippers, I'm telling you, man, I don't know if we wanted to see them in the playoffs because I think matchup wise, like I don't know, they were with the Lakers. It was a little different story. But yeah, hopefully PG finds a spot, man, because he's a California guy. You know what I mean? That's got to support the homies. But Clippers, I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
do you think that, like you just said, the Clippers need to go to Kawhi and say you're the guy? Does the locker
Mm-hmm.
room believe in Kawhi? Like, have they had that yet to even look at Kawhi and be like, all right, this guy's our leader? Or are they just like, okay, this guy's like a freak
Right.
talent, but we need someone that's a leader?
I think that's able to happen now. That is the topic of conversation that people need to say like, "Yo, Kawhi, you're the guy, bro. Like, you have to do this for us. Like, this is what you do. You're towing up with Braun. Like, if you want that respect, like, this is it." And I don't think that narrative was pushed enough because you did have Paul George and you did have a Clippers team that was already a solid ass team without adding those two. So and on top of that, Kawhi's personality, laid back guy, doesn't
One
really like
guy.
talk much, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing doing extremely legendary laughs, signing with New Balance,
I was gonna say, dude,
like
the new belt, like the shoe that made the Monarch like popular.
bro,
That's his
bro,
brand.
Dad Shoe 3000, baby, that boy Kawhi. So I think after this year, you'll get to see him kind of turn it. And the Clippers, they'll probably move some pieces around and maybe get some younger guys that have that respect for Kawhi. I think some of the older dudes, and I saw those articles. I don't know, you don't know if it's true or not, but I have to think something like Kawhi living in San Diego, kind of making his own time and minutes restriction and all that stuff. So yeah, I think this year he'll kind of come into his own. Only thing is, I don't know if they'll have enough to get it done. Like this year like this was their time. I think 100%.
Yeah.
They had all the pieces. They had the coach, but they yeah, it
So like
didn't
speaking of
it
that,
didn't
like
go.
I might be in the minority here, but I'm like I I don't think Doc is that good of a coach. Like
You don't think so?
am I crazy to think that? But like you look at Doc and it's like, okay, he has a ring, but he has a ring with a team that was goaded, like the
Right,
original big three. He goes
right,
to the Clippers, has arguably a better team than that big three because you got to look. KG and Paul George or Paul Pierce were
right,
veterans, aged veterans when they won it. He had
right,
Blake Griffin prime, DeAndre Jordan prime, Chris Paul just outside of his prime. Like he
right.
had a squad, and he gave up a 3-1 lead with that squad to my Rockets.
Yeah,
That's right, my Rockets.
yep,
Then
yep.
has another 3-1 lead, gives that up with the squad that he has now, like another goaded squad. Like I know you can't put everything on the coach, and I hate that because I hate when people are like, "Oh, it's the coach." Like, well, the coach isn't playing. Okay, the
Right.
coach is scheming. The coach is trying to put them in better situations. But like, I feel like there's an aura about Doc Rivers, and Doc knows
Hmm.
about it, and Doc wants that to like be his presence instead of him. Like I feel like he
Yeah.
could put that footprint on a game, but he doesn't. I don't know. I
Right.
might be in the minority. I just like if I'm thinking of top 5 coaches in the league right now, I don't think Doc is in that top 5.
Okay. No, I respect that too because you look at those things and he didn't get those things done. So for a lot of people, it's like are we really is this really the guy? And you can argue that too, for sure. I just think more of he knows basketball like more than probably anybody. Played at a high level, coached at a high level, was around some of the most talented players. So I just take that part away from it to where he's gonna know what works and what doesn't work. Maybe the decision making isn't the best, or maybe he's not getting as much as he can from the players because that's just who he is. But I think it's tough to kind of to put him in that. Uh, I just think it's easy to judge him, but it's like at the same time on the reverse side of that, it's like I mean the dude, he's done a lot of things, been at that level for so long, and it's like he's coached against some of the greats, so he's seen it at a high level, and I think him being able to coach Ben now too, and if Embiid stays, I don't know. I just think for me, bro, those guys with experience are pretty important. And I even think assistant coaches don't get enough scrutiny for when things go wrong. And I think, of course, the head coach is going to get they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But bro, I've seen it. The assistant coaches do a lot, and head coaches put that faith in them to, we want to go with this scheme, that scheme, that scheme. But like a lot of those decisions, man, like I can guarantee Ty Lue was calling a lot of shots, more than probably people think they understood. Like even the Lakers, Phil Handy, man, a guy that's worked with Kobe and everything, he's calling a lot of shots. Penberthy, a guy that um, he has a ring with Kobe and Shaq actually. But he's a shooting coach now. He actually coached Lonnie, but he's on the bench. He's calling shots. Jason Kidd, like, there's a lot of stuff that the assistant coaches bring to the table that is good and bad, and a lot of people don't talk about that. So, but as far as coaches, I understand how a lot of people, you got Nick Nurse, great coach. You got guys that are probably better coaches than than Doc, but overall, career, it's hard to take Doc out of the top for me, just because he's been around the game for so long and seen so much.
For sure.
So
For sure.
we'll see though. We'll see how he does in Philly.
Yeah,
Be
and
interesting.
if he can keep that team there for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing before I let you go, I want to dive into
Yeah.
these trade rumors that kind of
Okay.
came across
Sure.
my desk here. So
Okay.
Bleacher Report put down 5 trades that make sense for both teams. Generally when you see these, it's like, all right, they're not going to do that. Like, no
Right.
one's going to make that trade. But some of these I was looking at and I was like, all right, this like makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know if,
Right.
and realistically, rarely do you ever see a trade where it's like, all right, both parties won, but you
Right.
see, one team taking advantage of another team that needs to do
Yeah.
some damage control. But
Right.
like the first one, so Denver Nuggets acquire Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards for Michael Porter Jr., Gary Harris, and the number 22 pick. Like,
Yep.
that one, immediate fix for the Nuggets getting help for Joker and for Murray.
Great. Yep.
The Wizards, Wall coming back, hopefully he's healthy, right? You now get a young stud in Michael Porter Jr., Gary Harris, who's still kind of trying to figure
Yeah.
himself out, and now you get a 22 pick in the draft on top of the pick that you already have in the top 10. You get that pick to potentially build around that. Like, this one was like, this one's almost kind of too good to be true. Does the money make sense? But like, if I'm the Nuggets, do I get rid of Michael Porter Jr.? Like, what he showed me in the playoffs did he show me enough to keep him, or is Bradley Beal just like, all right, he's worth it?
I think Michael Porter Jr. is he did enough, man. I think he kind of called him out in a good way. You want that leadership from a kid that has that potential. I think he outplayed Kuzma. To be real with you, a lot of people thought Kuzma was gonna be that third scorer for the Lakers, but I think he outplayed Kuzma in the playoffs in general. So I think you think of the Nuggets too, and you think of they that's not really their MO to just go get a guy like that and then trade away I think Michael Porter has a chance to be a great player, and what you saw from the Nuggets too, the experience they've had beating the Clippers, kind of climbing those ranks. You want to keep that around. You want them to gel together. So I think you hold on to MPJ, and Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's an interesting trade too because he's been on his own for a while. I mean, he did play with Wall, but I mean, let's be honest, bro. John Wall's not over here like like Steve Nash in it. He's doing his thing. So even this is off topic, but even having Beal go to the Nets or another big time organization, I just don't know if he fits. To be real with you, I know he's the unbelievable scorer for sure, but it's hard to like put these guys in different places because I think a lot of people overlook like the emotion of the game and what people are really thinking in their minds. Like some kids on or some players on the team might feel like we don't need Bradley Beal or he's going to take my minutes or that's always a thing to think about. But for the Nuggets, I don't think that would be the best move at this time.
See,
They
like
don't need it.
I see Bradley Beal, like he reminds me a lot of like what he did with Wall out reminds me a lot of when Oladipo was at the Thunder and
Right,
Westbrook went down. Like Oladipo was
right,
already like, okay, this guy can, he possibly could do this. And then Westbrook
right,
goes down, he takes over, and then the Pacers are like, all right, what do we need to send you to get Oladipo here? And I feel like a lot
right.
of teams right now are like, all right, Beal showed us that he can. What do we need to send to go there? And I know there's teams out there that the Wizards phone is probably blowing up right now. Um,
Yeah,
I just like
yeah,
I'm with you. If I'm the Nuggets, I don't get rid of Michael Porter Jr. Gary Harris, I think Gary Harris is gone. I think they're gonna find a way to finagle him into a trade to get another piece. But
me too. Me
but
too.
Michael Porter Jr. is just like that's one of those potential centerpieces. Like you have to look at in this day and age of the NBA, everyone's playing 30 to 40 minutes. You're
Right.
gonna have injuries, you're gonna have people go down. Can you rely on Gary Harris to take over when Murray's out? No.
No,
Can you rely on Michael Porter in 2 years to do that? Yeah. And
exactly.
I think he showed you that. So I'm with you on that one. The next one though, this one was
Yeah.
like, I don't this one doesn't make sense to me either. So Pacers acquire Drew Holiday. They ship out Miles Turner, Doug McDermott, or Jeremy Lamb packaged with Miles Turner for Drew Holiday. Like, I'm sorry, but Miles Turner for me is a way higher talent than Drew Holiday,
Right. Right.
especially
Right.
now when a hybrid big like Turner, a guy that's
Yeah.
defensive and can rebound, means a lot for like. I would rather package him in a deal to like ship him to like the Clippers and be able to get a higher end talent than a Drew Holiday. Like Drew
Right.
Holiday's good. Like don't get me wrong, Drew Holiday is a stud, and every year people doubt him, he comes out and he plays better, which is crazy.
Right.
But I just like Miles Turner. He like Michael Porter Jr. That potential talent there is just too much for me to be like, all right, I'm going to give it up to bring on Drew Holiday.
Right. No, yeah. What's weird is I was hearing about this trade last year. There were rumors, just because Aaron was over there too in Indiana, and it was kind of the same type of structure. So I do think it'll get done, which is really weird. And now you got Van Gundy over there, with the Pelicans.
Stand the man.
Uh, a Miles Turner type vibe, and the Pelicans could have gone. I think Drew was gonna have to get out at some point just because you have that young talent. You gotta roll your dice on Lonzo. Hopefully he figures it out. But just having them both on this floor, like Lonzo was never gonna reach his full potential.
No.
Um, and it's tough because Drew's a hell of a player. So, but he's on his way down, veteran point guard. So it's like the thing about though Miles though, I don't think he played to where what he. I don't know. I think he signed that deal, right? Did he already get it done? I think it was like worth a lot
Yeah.
of. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think he can be a great player, but I just don't think. I don't think he lived up to the expectations almost. So then it does work for both teams. Kind of they get what they want. The Pacers just got that new coach too, hard nosed defensive type guy. So it makes sense to go get a Drew, and then you got Aaron on the same team. That'd be pretty crazy. And isn't the older Eldest Holiday on the Pacers too still, or did he get traded too?
I think he's gone.
Okay, that would have been pretty crazy. But yeah, so I think that trade does actually it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense for the fact that both teams will get what they want, type of
Right.
thing. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't think it'll shake the NBA up or anything, but I see that one getting done for
Speaking
sure.
of a trade that won't shake the NBA up, this garbage one. Cleveland Cavaliers acquire LaMarcus Aldridge and Keldon Johnson, and the Spurs get Kevin Love.
What a trade, man! What a Spurs trade! What a Spurs trade! That's just
That one to
pops like
me is like, that
that's
makes
the one.
no sense.
We want Kevin Love. We'll make about three threes a game, and get us like a couple rebounds and come off of some screens, and yeah, well, let's get it done. No, I mean that just those type of trades. I'm always like, okay, that's cool. You don't even know how long Kevin Love really has in the tank, how much he has in the tank, and it's
Yeah.
almost like a Pau Gasol type move
And
when he was over there.
like the Spurs have to
It's
figure
just
out DeMar DeRozan first. They need to figure that out before they start trying to
100%.
make an identity. But then the Cavaliers aren't
Yep.
going out to get LaMarcus Aldridge. They cannot look at their roster and be like, that's the missing piece. Like, no,
Marcus,
no,
come over here.
maybe
We
6 years
got like
ago.
17 guards on that team, bro. Yeah, it's like come on, man. Like where are they headed, bro?
Crazy.
That's
So
just
crazy.
I'm not a GM, bro. Don't get me wrong. I have no idea the type of stuff they deal with, but some of these trades, bro, and like these moves, I just don't. I'm like, do you guys want to get better, or is it like you just want to stay in that hole?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess, bro. I guess if that's what they makes them feel better, LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't even think LaMarcus Aldridge likes basketball anymore, bro. To be honest, like so he's so like checked out. Every Spurs game I watch, I'm just like, what's going on, man? So I almost want him to go back to Portland, bro, and try and get it done with Dame, man. Try and get a reunion or something. But
That'd actually be dope.
yeah,
Uh,
the Spurs will be fine though. They'll go get some random person and ride it out and make the playoffs like they always do.
these next two trades, these are the two that out of this list made the most sense. So the
Yep.
first one, we have a three-way trade. So we have the Bucks get Oladipo and Robert Covington from the Rockets. Pacers get Eric Bledsoe, and they get their original pick that they traded away, their 24th pick, back. And then the Rockets get DiVincenzo, Ilyasova, the Milwaukee's 2021 pick, and then their 2023 pick. So the Rockets would basically be saying, we're going to lean heavy on Russ and lean heavy on Harden, hopefully sign a potential free agent that can help them. And we're going to build back the draft capital that Daryl
Right.
Morey basically lit on fire and hopefully get that back. You get a shooter in DiVincenzo, you get a big in Ilyasova. The Pacers get Bledsoe to kind of replace Depot, try to build around. Plus, you get that pick, another pick in this year's draft. And then the Bucks are able to build around Giannis and keep him there by getting Oladipo. So now you have Oladipo, Giannis, Middleton, and you're adding Robert Covington, who proved that, you know, what he showed us in Philly was legit because he goes to a Rocket squad where he was used very similarly and he balled. So you get those two guys around Giannis and Middleton, like that's a recipe for success.
100%, 100%. You know, I think that for the Bucks, it definitely makes sense. For the Rockets, it makes sense. For what was the other one? Was that the one where Westbrook was possibly going to New York? Was that
No,
did I hear that one
that's
too?
the next one. That's that. So the best part is they actually like titled these. So it was like Nuggets get better, and then it was like Pacers add a piece, and then it was like Cleveland and Spurs make a trade, and then this one was titled the three-way, and then the next one was titled the trade. And the reason why it was titled the trade is because this one's awesome. Now,
oh my God,
not
bro,
entirely, because
please.
I truly do like Westbrook, and I honestly like I feel like we didn't get a full season to see how Westbrook and Harden can play together. Like you saw it a lot during the year where like Harden and Westbrook are like going at each other, but you know that it's not like Shaq Kobe butting heads. It's like your brother. It's like you and your brother butting head. They played basketball together their
It's
entire life. Like they can hold each other
right,
accountable, and that's what you want when you have two stars on the team. They just didn't have the right getting
right.
going small like they did. It just didn't make sense. I think both Westbrook and Harden need to look in the mirror and be like, okay, there's a couple things we should probably change in our game to help us, where it's not just me ball, it's us ball. And I think both of them could. I mean, you saw Russell do it in OKC. You saw Harden do it when he was with CP. So, I mean, they can. They just got to get the right piece and obviously the right
Yep.
coach as well. But this trade, like, if we were to get rid of Westbrook, this would be the only trade that I would be okay with. Like I don't like the Westbrook for Embiid. I don't like
Right.
that. I don't like the Westbrook for, Paul George. I don't like that.
No.
But
No.
Rockets getting RJ Barrett, Ntilikina, and the number 8 pick and the number 27 pick for Russ, like that would be the Knicks basically be like, all right, we truly love Russell Westbrook and we can bring in Brandon Ingram. So we're going to literally go all in, and the Rockets just rake in everything. Like,
Dude, what's crazy is I think that could actually happen. And then I'm watching Westbrook in a New York Knicks jersey, bro. What type of basketball would that be, bro? That's what I want to know. Like Westbrook just going end to end, throwing up contested layups in traffic, bro. Just trying to dunk on anybody and everybody, getting rebounds, throwing them back up on purpose, bro. Getting his triple doubles up. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like that Rockets would that's one of the best trades that's happened in a while if it does happen, just because the Rockets win that like beautifully, but the Knicks, bro, that would probably be one of the worst trades I've ever seen for them, bro.
if the
Just
Knicks did
because
it, they would have had to bring in like Brandon Ingram would have to come over, Dragic would have to come over. Like they would have to have like multiple big time free agents. Like
right,
the only way that I see this working is if Brandon Ingram signs and then Drummond, releases his player option and comes
right,
over. So now you got the big that you want. You got a good addition in Ingram. Now we need a guy to kind of round this whole thing out. Let's bring in Russ and
right.
let's just make this thing work. Because like the Rockets, this I don't know if you've ever watched his shows or anything, but I watch Pat McAfee a lot, ex punter for
Mm-hmm.
the Colts. He talks about how when the Colts kind of changed over GMs, like once they got rid of Caldwell and they brought in all these other guys and they changed
Yeah,
over GMs, the GM literally told Pat McAfee, like, you need to, shape up because I didn't draft you. So I have no emotional ties to you on this team.
right.
So you need to follow what we're doing, or we're just going to get rid of you. Like
Yeah,
I did not draft you. I do not have that tie to you. And that kind of scares me. Like if a hard-nosed GM comes in and a hard-nosed like, to me, I think like if Mark Jackson came in, which I love, by the way, I think the team stays because I think Mark can work with those guys. But like if you bring in like a Jeff Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy ain't having no
oh, bro.
crap, dude. Like he's gonna be like, nope, see ya, you're out. And if the GM thinks that way too, like, hey, I didn't draft you, I didn't trade for you, I have no emotional tie to you. I'm here to make this team win, and I don't see it working. Like, if I'm the Rockets, whether I have emotional ties to Russ or not, if the Knicks come calling with that deal, I'm taking it. Like 100%.
100%, 100. Get him out of here, dude. Go play with the with the Knicks, and no, that makes the most sense for real for the Rockets for sure. But yeah, like seeing Russ in New York, bro, with Julius Randle and oh my Steve Novak off the bench, even though he retired like 10 years ago, like bro, like what
Linsanity's
a
back.
oh my god, what a scene, bro. Westbrook's going for 51-8 and 14 with a 40-point loss, bro. No cap.
Dude, he'd
Yeah,
be
that would
going
be
to
rough.
clubs with Spike afterwards. Like it'd
Bro,
be like a whole
he's
ordeal.
like the face of New York, like just losing games. Oh, you got Melo back too, probably, and you're
He is a free
just
agent. He is
losing
a
games,
free agent.
bro. They keep saying he might come back. He might come back. So that would be unbelievable, man. I do want to see it, but I really just don't want Russ to go through that because that'd probably be awful, bro. Like
I like
100%.
selfishly looking at that, I'm like, okay, I'd do it. But like, honestly, like I truly think that Russ and Harden can coexist. There's
Yeah,
just I don't know what that piece is. Like honestly, Jimmy Butler was that piece. Like when
I
the
know.
Sixers
Give
were
it
like, all right, we're
so
shopping him, bro. I would have given him. I love PJ Tucker. I honestly, PJ Tucker's kind of that glue that no
no,
one talks about. But I would have given up PJ Tucker,
yeah,
Eric Bledsoe, Capella. I would have given up all those guys to get Butler.
yeah. Butler's a much better, obviously, 10 times, 100 times better version of PJ, just as far as mentality. Like everyone's gonna be on the same page. We're not worried about points. Like let's just win the game type thing. I think that's what the Rockets really need. I think D'Antoni as a coach, letting them just shoot everything worked, but then you need somebody, whether it's coaching staff or on the court, where it's like James, like stop shooting that, bro. You need a Draymond type thing, or you need a Russ. What was that? Like call out these guys, or like a Patrick Beverly type. And that's hard. It's hard to find.
Can you
But
imagine
until
Russ and Pat Bev on the same team?
oh my god,
They'd
bro,
have to have like 5 team psychiatrists because that would just be
at all times on speed dial, bro. They need two for one guy type thing. Yeah, man. I mean, they just it's like not even talent wise. They just need somebody like a better version of PJ Tucker type thing. And because as great as Harden is, there's times and lapses where it's not necessarily the greatest shot, and he can't do everything perfect. Don't get me wrong, but I think it just exposes himself a little bit more when he doesn't have that. Hey, like let's get into our offense. Like let's slow this down. Like you can go get 50 a night, but we're not gonna win, type thing. And that's hard. That's hard to get somebody, to have the respect of Harden, to where he'd be like, yeah, you're right. Let me chill out. So until they find that, it's gonna be rough. But you never know, bro. You never know. They might have to bring back Meta World Peace one time. You know what I mean? And sign him to 15,
honestly
14 days.
like speaking of veteran, like I think Ariza would be that guy.
Bro, huge. He was with them, right? And they traded him and that's when the Rockets. That was with that year that they almost beat.
Let's not talk about it.
Bro,
That was
like,
literally after the Lakers won one with Ariza. The Rockets
yep,
go out and get Ariza. They have
yep,
Harden. They start balling out, and then they blow it to the Spurs. And it's like,
bro,
all right, we have a team. Don't get rid of it. And then they're like, all right, Ariza's gone. And
yep,
it's like,
yep.
what? Ariza was literally the guy that like kept everyone together.
Went
Like
and got the kid Abatamute, right, or something like that.
Luke
Yeah, yeah.
Mbamute.
I was like, who is what is going on, bro? Like they were so close, and then
Yep.
it
Yep.
just watched it, man. So
Yep.
yeah, it just shows you, man. You have to be. That's why you have to respect, the Lakers are teams that will get it done on the daily because there's so many things going on, man. It's just like to try and manage that and get them all on the same page and about winning, and you guys are gonna get your numbers and your endorsements, but I need everybody to focus in, and then you gotta respect the coach, and you gotta like the coach's offense and defense, and so many things, bro, that a lot of people don't think about. You just turn on the game and watch it, but this thing's moving at 100 miles an hour, bro. The
And there's
whole
a lot of
year.
money at stake. Like everyone's like, all these
Exactly.
athletes make a lot of money, but you got to understand, like they're also bringing in a lot of money. Like
Yep.
imagine if like the best way I can explain it is like Amazon. Look at Amazon. Like if
Hmm.
Amazon's products weren't just something that you can get online, like if it was something that you had to actually physically go look at and be
Right.
around, like you would, and like the employees that handle all of that stuff, if it wasn't just an online website taking care of it, like
Right.
you'd be looking at those employees being like, all right, bro, how do you do this? Like this doesn't make,
Right.
like this is insane. Like
Every
you
time.
you are making that check worth it. And like
Right.
the GMs, the coaches, the trainers, I mean, you never run into an ex-athlete, pro athlete that's like, oh yeah, bro, we didn't need the trainer, we didn't need the equipment guy, we didn't need that, we didn't need this. Like they're all like, dude, I don't know how these guys do their job because literally everywhere I go,
Yeah.
my stuff's where it belongs, everything's moving with us. Like dude, you can get a trade right now and just be like, hey, you need to be on a flight in 3 hours and go to Toronto. And you're like, what? And then the team
Yep.
has everything already ready for you, and you literally load up and go. It's like there's so
Yep.
many moving pieces. It moves so fast. And you're not talking about like a $5 exchange. You're talking about a $15 million contract, $8,000 flight. You're talking about, fuel and
Yep.
all this stuff goes into it. And you have one guy in his position that manages like 20 of those things. It's crazy. I laugh, like my wife hates it because like if we're ever around someone that doesn't like really study sports like I do, and they're like, oh dude, they can get rid of that guy, and I'm just like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about, just don't talk, because they can't just get rid of that guy. Like that's
Right.
it's huge to just completely get rid of.
You know how it works, bro.
Crazy. Yeah, it's really not. But
Yep.
all
Oh
right,
yeah.
well, I appreciate the hell out of you for coming on here. I think it was a lot of fun.
You know the vibes. We gotta keep it moving. Basketball is off right now, but we gotta keep it vibing. You know, my Dodgers are gonna get it done.
Oof,
Holla,
oof.
holla. You know what I mean? Mookie's gonna get it done one time for the one time, and free agency's rolling around. What they said January 1st, I think. So
Yep.
I'm sure there'll be some crazy stories to talk about then. But we're locked in, my guy. You know how we do.
Mookie won't be snagging no homers over the wall when the Rays are hitting it 500 feet over the wall.
I'm not gonna lie. What's his name? Blasted that yesterday, bro.
Oh, low or low or
We'll
whatever.
see. Yeah. We'll see if they can get it done, man. But Dodgers need some pitching, man. Somebody needs to go get. I might have to go back out there, bro. Hold on. Let me get my glove, bro. I forgot. I even forgot the glove name. I forgot what I had, but you might see me on my Randy Johnson a couple
Ooh,
years,
there you
bro.
go. There you go.
Yep.
I see you more of a Hideo Nomo type.
Oh yeah, I
Drastic
could see that.
wind
I
up.
could see that. Yeah.
Drastic wind up. You don't know what it's coming because you can't even see the release point because your back is literally turned to the plate. Yeah.
I might switch arms, mid pitch, bro. You never know.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
Get the universal glove out.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, bro.
Hey,
It's all.
this World Series is going to be a lot of fun. I think I talked about it
Yeah,
earlier in the episode before we brought you on. I was on the Braves. Like even before the season started, I was on the Braves. I thought the Braves just had the talent, and
yeah,
unfortunately, the Dodgers proved that they had more talent. But um, I don't know. Like the Dodgers are like riding that fine line of potentially being the Buffalo Bills of baseball, like just going to
yeah.
World
For real
Series and
though.
never winning it. Like that's
It's just
um,
cooked every year.
I'm always for the underdog. Rays never winning a World Series. It'd be
I
crazy
know,
to have
bro.
back to back Nationals win it, never won it. Rays win it, never won it. Like that'd be cool to have back to back.
Crazy.
But again, storylines. Talk about LA. Who deserves it? LA. Yeah. But also cool. This will be the first time in like I want to say it was like 40 something years where um no matter what happens, a city will have two champions in the same year. Because the Tampa Bay Lightning won
Yeah,
the Stanley Cup and the Lakers won the championship. So no matter what, one of these teams is gonna have a city that wins two championships. So
that's actually pretty dope. Yeah, we need that.
we
We
shall
need that.
see.
So we'll see. We'll
Make
see,
COVID a
bro.
little bit better for you guys over there in California.
Yeah, kids will go out and do some wild stuff, and some people won't get sick, and they'll be like, everything's fine, it's fine, and then victims fall. So, nah, yeah, we'll hopefully we can get it done, man. We'll see though. The Rays are tough, so
For sure.
let's go, Mookie. Let's get it done, baby.
Mookie.
Go.
I'm
Yeah.
in. Well, I appreciate you for coming on here. Everyone listening, thank you so much. Obviously, my guy, Jonathan Davis, go check him out. He's got a Twitch channel and he likes to ball out on all the video games, especially FIFA. I mean, you look at this guy, all the knowledge
Yes,
he has
sir.
for basketball, but he balls out on FIFA. He's actually pretty good. And for those of you listening, know me. I don't like to give out compliments, but he is good at what he does. Also, him and his boys playing COD is quite the experience, so definitely go check that out. Yeah, and as we end every episode, may the sports be with you.